Welcome to the Retail is Detail podcast. I'm your host, Jamie Hamer. This is where we go beyond the headlines and get into how great retail leaders, operators, and innovators really think. From building teams, scaling businesses, from tech to loyalty to data. Every week I talk to the people building, running, and reinventing retail. Unpacking what's working, what's changing, and what's next. If you care about the detail of retail, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Retail is Detail podcast. My guest today wrote a business plan for her company as a university thesis and then actually built it. 12 years later, that company is Antavo, one of the world's leading AI loyalty programs, powering programs for KFC, Benefit Cosmetics, Scandic Hotels, and dozens of other global brands. She's co-founder and chief strategy officer, and she was named Personality of the Year at the International Loyalty Awards in 2024. And she's on a personal mission to get more focus on loyalty in the C-suite. She's a former award-winning radio journalist, which might explain why she's one of the clearest communicators in retail tech. Zsuzsa Kecsmar, really glad to have you on the show.
Hi, Jamie. Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Awesome. Look, every retailer in the world is spending a fortune on trying to acquire new customers. And your data says that's the wrong game entirely. What do you know that most retailers still don't?
Well, what we know is that everyone wants new customers, and that's great. But there is a power in your existing customers, and there is a power in customer loyalty. We've heard all these numbers that how much it takes to acquire a new customer and then to keep one, and then how much you can make from one existing customer over the course of their lifetime. So instead of just like listening to Google and Meta, who is always saying like, new, use my solutions. I give you all the exposure. You can just also listen inwards and think that, I could do this myself, and think of all those people you cultivated the relationship with. And according to our latest data, actually, from the Global Customer Loyalty Report 2026, that I always like to keep next to me like one copy, we've learned that half of the marketing budget businesses spend is spent on the existing customer. So it's like a very nice and high number compared to what most people would think about new customers and old customers.
So why do you hear so much more about Google and Meta ads if an equal amount is being spent?
Well, I think because they're great in their own marketing, right?
Yeah, that makes total sense. I was going to ask you, I have last year's version of your global customer loyalty report here, which I got from the event we went to together. So why do you develop such a comprehensive report, and what are the biggest benefits, and how long does that take you? Is this something other businesses should be doing?
Oh, yeah. So we are a provider of technology, and our technology is centered around loyalty programs and running loyalty programs. And a couple of years ago, actually 5 years ago, because this is the fifth edition, we thought that it would be really great to scan the market and see what others are doing. Because we've realized that the people that we are talking to, loyalty program managers, head of loyalty, and so on, these kind of CRM people, they always have this difficulty to prove their point. Because before this, there was no global research that they could point to, like a benchmark, like something that they could present to their management or board or even team, like, see, this is the benchmark. This is why we should do this and that. So we thought that we could do that. And in the past years, this report became the report of the industry. If you can imagine, last year, 8,000 people downloaded it, which is like, I think everyone downloaded it in our space in those markets that we are targeting. So we are very happy for this success, and it became like a nice and trusted source. And also we put so much effort into it because, first of all, analyze the data that is that are loyalty programs that are running on Antavo, of course, in an anonymized way. And this is how we analyze 500 million loyalty program member actions. Like, it's a lot of data. Then we have two surveys. One is for marketers. We have a 3,000 people panel of marketers globally, and we have a 10,000 people panel of consumers globally. And this is how we gather our data and then compile this nice report.
Amazing. Well, it's clearly an awesome business development tool. Is the 2026 version now out? Speaking now in March, coming into April 2026?
Yeah, it is out, and it's out for like already a couple of weeks because we launched it at the beginning of February. So it's available to download. It's free to download on antavo.com.
Great. We'll come back to Antavo in a second. Just before we get to the business, you were a radio journalist in Hungary and you won Journalist of the Year. And somewhere along the way, you ended up co-founding an enterprise tech company. How did those two connect and how has that come about?
It's funny that you asked this way because despite winning Young Journalist of the Year, this was given to me by the European Commission for the work I've been doing around like reports and so everything which is like hardcore journalism. I thought that I'm not that talented in radio. I was just very hardworking. And then I realized it after spending 5 years in radio. And I realized that I reach my own ceiling and I wouldn't be the person who can make it as a career. So instead I thought I can co-found our own company. So I teamed up with 3 of my co-founders and then launched a business. It was in London, close to Old Street, which was is still like the Silicon Roundabouts of the UK.
Yeah.
And we are in loyalty since 2016. And I'm very happy to where we arrived as a business.
Yep, it's going well. We'll come on to that. You wrote the business plan for Antavo as your university thesis and then built it. Most people would file that document, as I did my university thesis, and just move on. But what made you believe, while still a student, that this could be a real company?
So first of all, when I was a student and I worked in radio, that was the same 5 years that I spent in university and I spent on air. I have more like 10,000 hours that I spent on air. So it was quite a nice experience in life and in business and then as a professional. So it was already 5 years of a solid career. And I realized that I'm not that talented in it and I should do something else. And it was exactly the time when I should have submitted my thesis. And I just didn't have anything else to think about because I knew that I want this company. We want to do this. So basically, I used the excuse of needing to write a thesis. And basically, I just, what we already had as a business plan, I put this into a thesis and then built all this scientific environment around it and then submitted that as a thesis. That's that. It was quite practical, actually, because I just wanted to save time. And of course, if I have a look at it now, it's I've got on a scale of 5, I've got not even the best grade that I was looking for, but I've got one grade less. And I always tell my teacher, who I'm keeping touch with ever since, is that see, you didn't give me the best grade, but I still made it, we still made it as a company with employing more than 100 people now. It's 100 families that are reliant on us. So university grades don't mean everything.
Totally. But what was in the thesis, did that end up becoming the actual business? Because you pivoted from a lead generation agency into loyalty, right?
Well, it was a lead generation software that we pivoted from, and it was the lead generation software's business plan.
Okay, cool. Well, tell me about that pivot. How hard was that? Did you have any risks to the company at that stage? And how clearly did loyalty become your holy grail at the end of that?
So it was 4 years when we've done that lead generation software as a service company. And that was a time when when Facebook had its TikTok era. So Facebook was really growing and marketeers, all they wanted to do is to capture that momentum and to build the direct relationship with the customer. It's very similar to loyalty, actually. And at one point that software as a service was used by 30,000 marketers, which is a lot. But at the same time, we ourselves had terrible churn because our own users were leaving us. And this is what turned our attention to loyalty. We started to research the area, how our own customers could be more loyal to us. Then we realized that it was not great that they used it in a seasonal way, that they always went away and come back. But this research was so fundamental in our life because we realized that there is this whole new place that is now underserved by technology, and we could be that who is doing that. So it seemed like a small change, but it ended up a very big change, that we turned our focus from lead generation software as a service to loyalty software as a service.
And your grandmother apparently said, asked when you'd get a real job. And so now that you're personality of the year in industry and you're running a company headed towards Series B, Does she believe?
She believes now, definitely. But yeah,
Good.
so we've done this company. We've been doing this company with my husband, and then
Yep.
all she saw was like trying to decrease risks. Like, is it a good life choice if both of you are working on the same company, but you are your own boss? It's not like a steady paycheck. She is coming from teaching. She's been a teacher for 40 years, and then she is conditioned to the paycheck. And of course, it was risky. And for the longest time, our paycheck was non existent. So I totally saw her point. But fortunately, the tide has turned now, and we are giving paychecks to other people, also ourselves. So it's really nice to have experienced this.
Awesome. And it's an unusual structure. You know, husband is CEO, you a CSO, heading towards Series B. I'm sure investors have questions around that. I mean, it's really high upside, right? High downside, right? I mean, when you guys discuss strategy and you disagree, does it ever get ugly?
I think we have experience in handling our conflicts. And because there are conflicts, of course, then just like in all kinds of relationships, be it like a co-founder relationship purely or this husband and wife duo that they are. But what I think we are great at is just making up and then seeing other people's points, so the other's point. And, and of course, the first is that we just really, really love each other, and then we're kind of figuring things. And we've seen this when we've done our Series A, that there was an investor who pointed out that you are married and it's a threat. They considered it as a threat. But we knew that it's not going to be a threat, it's going to be a strength. And it's our strength ever since. And they haven't invested, which we didn't really mind.
Fair is fair. From a business perspective, you invest 60% of your revenue into product development, which is a really high ratio for a B2B SaaS company at your stage. What are you building that you couldn't slow down?
So we've been always very strong at product, and we continue being very strong in product. Imagine the people that we are hiring. I'm Hungarian, and we have this great talent, a pool of talent of product experts, engineers, software developers in Hungary, which is in the European Union. It's like an added bonus.
Yep.
And these days, the people that we are hiring are not junior engineers, not mid-year, not senior, but staff engineers. We only hired staff engineers in the past 18 months or so because there's so much assistance through AI these days that they can use. They can have their own colleagues basically working for them. And we do this because our ambitions are high, as we believe loyalty programs need an operating system. This is the Antavo OS, Antavo operating system, from planning through executing and optimizing loyalty programs. And it's like a circle, because once you have a loyalty program, you still need to replan the next campaign, seducing the next customer segment, creating the next tier, and then you still need to execute it and optimize it. So it's like an ongoing work. Before, loyalty programs were more like set it and forget it. People were just happy that, oh, it's done, and then let's not touch it. But we believe that it's not the right way. Loyalty programs shouldn't be set it and forget it. And in the past, the technology burdens for the cause. And now we can enable these marketers to change and evolve loyalty programs, because this is how it should be.
Hmm. And you recently launched Timmy AI, so an agentic loyalty assistant named after a real employee. So that's a specific choice. Why did you name it? Why did you make that bot human rather than generic?
Yeah. So we launched Timmy AI. Was it like almost 18 months ago now that we launched Timmy AI? And it was the first agentic AI, like first AI in our space, which I'm very proud of. And Timmy is our colleague who's been working with us for 10 years now. And she's like one of the most knowledgeable people at the company. And we had this idea that basically what is the AI that we want to create? And then we listed the traits of that person, like helpful, knowledgeable about the product, knowledgeable about the industry, and has experience in implementing our loyalty programs. And then we realized that this is basically Timmy, our colleague. And she's a business analyst at Antavo. So all new customers who are launching with us are going to see her, because she is like running the sense check that, have you thought of this and that? And then she's running these tests on whether for the first MVP, this or that function should fit in or not. And then basically we found that, yes, we want our AI to be like her. So my co-founder, our CEO, just called her and basically pitched the idea of, like, what do you think, Timmy? Would you like that? And then she asked for a couple of days to think about that. And then basically she said yes. We increased her salary a bit. She's compensated to lend her likeness to the AI. But in general, she still likes the idea. And she can revoke her consent. That is also important. But she still likes the idea that her virtual self is available 24/7 to help our customers.
Awesome. I'm going to pitch the team on Tori AI and Mariano AI shortly. So most loyalty programs, they reward purchases, but you're championing programs that reward recycling, donating, leaving reviews, healthy lifestyles. At what point does a loyalty program become something bigger? And is there also a risk that you're overcomplicating something that customers want to be simple?
It's a good point, and there is this ongoing conversation about how loyalty programs should be in the industry. And then from our research, we know that if you ask a customer, if you ask like yourself or like just people on the street, like what is that they expect most from a loyalty program, they will say that they want the financial benefits, they want a good deal. 70.8% of people join loyalty programs because of the financial benefits. And this is what they come from, but they stay for is all the rest, how it is a bit different, how it is part of their life. Just to tell you an example, last week I met one of our customers in Germany called Bergzeit. They are a mountain wear retailer, and their loyalty program integrates with Garmin. And so if you go and climb that mountain, or if there are no mountains nearby, you do that walking session that gets tracked in Garmin and is sent to the loyalty program. So you think of Bergzeit not only when it's time to buy your next gear for mountaineering, but you think of Bergzeit basically every time when you do the activity related to their space. When you are on fresh air, you think, oh, it's great that Garmin is tracking this now, because it makes me more, it gives me benefits in the Bergzeit loyalty program. Another great example is Rip Curl, the surfwear brand. After the waves you surf, you benefit. So it's not only the purchases that they encourage, but living the surfer life.
Okay. So part of it is having different benefits, but part of it is also correlating it with the activities that these purchases drive.
Yeah.
Very cool. And you recently launched a Shopify app with receipt scanning capability so that customers can capture purchases made through third parties as well, which is solving the invisible customer problem where 70-80% of purchases happen out of your direct control. How big is that problem of invisible customers, and why has it taken the industry so long to address it?
It is a complex problem, and you've done your research very well, Jamie. Congratulations. So basically, if we think of retailers, if we think of brands in the past 15 years basically have this dilemma. Do we sell directly or do we sell through other retailers? And what they can impact is when they sell directly, and this is where most of their data is from. But they don't want to say no to the retailers who are their semi-competitors, while they still would love to know the end user, their customer. And it's a big pain for them that they never know this person. So this receipt scanning helps exactly with that, because these brands can now identify that customer who is buying through a retailer. And in a practical way, it goes like, if I buy, this is a specific example. One of our customers is Yeo Valley, the organic dairy that you may know from the grocery store. And if I buy a yogurt, and if I buy no matter where, be it Sainsbury's or a Tesco, I can just scan the receipt that I received, and it will be attributed towards my Yeo Valley bank. And the more points I get, the more privileges that I get. Like, I can visit a farm, or I can stay there, or I can have these special edition yogurts. So it's just the best way, and for them, the only way to really connect with their customers.
Really cool. And do you have a sense of what percentage of people will scan when you launch an app like that from purchases other than direct to consumer?
Well, it's not us who have this estimate, but it's rather the brands themselves, because there will be a difference between a dairy, which is a smaller value item, and like some jeans, like a piece of clothing that would be a higher value. So it really depends on the product itself.
Okay. But it's material worth doing and gets you some of the data you need.
Yeah, for sure.
So you've grown from 0 to 18 million revenue with a team across 3 continents, and you've described it as an education-first strategy, as we talked about with Loyalty Report. Can you give me a concrete example where a piece of research or content directly turned into a client?
I think our best example is the Global Customer Loyalty Report, because like this piece of content is like so fundamental in our own perception as a company, that our last year's pipeline, everyone was affected by it. Like, everyone downloaded that piece of content or accessed it in some way. It really helps with our credibility. And it was one of the reasons why I was selected as like chief editor at large, if I can say that, because it's always a team. But it was one of the reasons why I was selected as Personality of the Year in 2024 at the International Loyalty Awards, because the jury recognized that this is a huge research and it takes commitment to develop such a big research in such consistency over the course of multiple years. So I would say that indirectly, like a report impacted this beautiful award, that impacted our business, that impacted new business for us. So everything is like connected in a way.
Cool. You could say the same about loyalty programs generally. So you signed some of your biggest clients during the pandemic, when every restaurant and retailer was fighting for survival. What's it like selling into organizations that are in chaos and generally struggling?
It was a very intense period of time. And I think everyone in technology experienced this big surge in demand. Like, basically not everyone, but those people who came out on the good end of it. And then I think we did, because we started 2020 with 30 something people, and over the course of 18 months we grew to a bit more than 100. So if you can imagine, like 18 months having this big team growth, it's a lot of growth. And it is also very difficult, because it was hiring, and then just like trying to figure things out. And over time, of course, we found some efficiencies. So we increased a bit in terms of headcount, but with the help of AI, I don't think that we will increase that much in the next couple of years. It is really great to work with those brands who are just like seizing the moment and then trying to turn it to their best advantage. Let's, if I can say the example of BMW. BMW in the UK launched a loyalty program for company car drivers, because their objective was that in the following year and the years after that, when drivers are offered to pick a car, then they would pick BMW. Again, that was their objective. And they turned their events budget into this loyalty program budget during the pandemic, because there were no events. And then they've run this program for, I think, for 4 years. And then they started to centralize everything in from all kinds of countries. They stopped their individual loyalty programs, and they will be launching something soon. As far as I know, that will be central. But it was a nice example of how brands just seized the moment and then took advantage of what is available to them.
Totally. Makes sense to repurpose your events budget if that's not going to go ahead. That's a good repurpose. And so from your own research, poor integration is flagged as the number one barrier to loyalty adoption to program owners globally, 71% saying that's the biggest factor. If that's a direct indictment of how difficult it is to deploy loyalty at enterprise scale, presumably including Antavo, what's the hardest integration you've gone through, and what did it teach you?
That's actually a good question. What was the hardest? I think it's not even the integration that is difficult, because if you go step by step, you're able to figure things. But what we learned recently, and we grew together with our customers, how speed is important. Just for example, one of our customers is Skims, and Skims of our most popular internet name has very high demand sometimes. And their company was smaller when we started to work together, and then it grew over time, year by year, as time passed. And it was a technology challenge at first, but now we've overcome it, and Antavo become the fastest response time loyalty program technology out there by today, because we were able to listen to customer needs and evolve with time. Now response time is like as fast as a Google search. It's like even unnecessarily fast, but we don't mind that, because we just want it to be like super scalable because our customers need it.
And do you take into account seasonality in how you design loyalty programs when there's big seasonality like with Skins?
There is seasonality taken into account. So, for example, our customers are already starting to prepare for Black Friday and Cyber Monday, even though it's only March. This is the time when they are thinking around like designing how they really want to do it. But I think that your experience would be similar, right? So retail is really, really trying to get most things planned at least in half one in order to have a very successful half two.
Totally. Now this is a busy period, I think, for both of us, and except in things like outdoor furniture and sunglasses, where they may be peaking now. But yeah, we see something very similar. Moving into the AI side, inevitably. So your own data from 2025, and I'm curious how this changed in 2026, says that only 23% of UK consumers would join the loyalty program if it had AI, and over a third of UK consumers still prefer plastic loyalty cards. That's in the UK specifically. Like, how do you feel about that data? Is it changing, and does it change how you approach this market?
It's a good question, because these are two different questions. One is really like technology forward, and the other is plastic cards, which seem to be like the bottom of the technology advancement list. But these are actually two different questions. And the first question, we didn't even ask again in 2026, because we realized, so the question that you just said was like 20-something% of people would prefer loyalty programs if it was powered by AI, because we thought that consumers would differentiate if the loyalty program was run by AI. But this was our assumption almost 2 years ago. And ever since, our mobiles are full of AI anyway. So it seemed that it's not a relevant question anymore. When I take a picture, it's already enhanced by AI. If I want to edit someone else, I can just do that. If I want to search, I just do that. There were no MCPs, there were no ChatGPT, Shopify integration. So back then, because this area is so fast evolving, that was a relevant question. We didn't ask this question again. But related to plastic cards, it's surprising. People are still fond of plastic cards. And I think you can't ignore that as a marketer if you really want to meet your customer where they are. And actually, can you guess, like, which country is the one where plastic cards are the most popular?
I'm going to go with the US.
No, not the US. It's the Emirates. with all the gold cards and the privileges, and rich people wanted to have something tangible that they can show, like actual, really valuable piece of a card that may be not plastic, but some, more valiant material. And the second one is Germany. And Germany has this great track record of good bargains, discounts, and then it's just like a really a mature market that is conditioned to show your plastic card, and then you get a good deal. Because after all, a card is just only the top of the iceberg. It's just the identifier. And you can have all the high tech behind, and you should actually. And if really the consumers are just like sticking to that plastic card, besides maybe other family members using a mobile pass or a mobile application, then you should just go with it. If they really love those plastic cards, it's really okay to have those plastic cards, even though printing and producing and mailing a plastic card is more expensive than just issuing a digital pass in the phone of your wallet. But if that person really wants that, then it's for a reason.
Yeah, and your put on AI kind of speaks to, do consumers really know what they want, right? They say they don't necessarily want AI in their loyalty programs or AI running it, but they do want it on their phones. And, what has been the biggest gap that you've seen and the biggest surprising thing between what consumers say they want and what actually works?
There is this ongoing conversation in the industry about points, that customers don't really want points in a loyalty program. They just want the rewards and then the benefits and so on. But actually, points are a great tool to show the currency of a loyalty program. It's easy to grasp. It's easy to understand. So if you see that there is some kind of marketing material, it involves points, then it's very likely it is a loyalty program or some kind of an incentive or the rewards program. So even if customers say points are not important, they are still important. It's just less important for them because they see it as a means to an end. They see it as just like a tool that would unlock the real deal or the real benefit or the reward that they want to have.
And because of the way human psychology works, would you always recommend a level of gamification?
Yes. And of course, here the question is, what do we call gamification? Points, tiers, rewards, leaderboards, are these them gamifications already? If you think yes, then yes, I would definitely recommend it.
So Forrester is predicting that brand loyalty will decline in 2025 while loyalty program usage increases. Sounds like a contradiction, but what's actually happening there?
What is happening is that people are really fond of loyalty programs and they see it as a great way to unlock value. I think it is 43% of people. Yes, it is 43% of people who this year. Okay, let me put it in a better way for you so I can properly quote it. So there is this saying that 33% of consumers are more likely to join a loyalty program this year than last year. So Forrester's prediction is proven by our numbers. I sent them this number, so I hope that they are happy for it. So basically, 33% of consumers are more likely to join a loyalty program than last year. And there are multiple things at play here. So first of all, customers see that there is value in loyalty programs. It is also becoming more like a hygiene factor. So you just need to have it, because if you don't have it, you fall behind. Also, there is this economic uncertainty at play, unfortunately. I don't know, is it maybe the fourth year in a row when I talk in the UK or I talk with UK brands or even just people, they use the word cost of living or cost of living crisis. And in these times, loyalty programs are real helpful and they're perceived as a helpful element. And think of a customer who is thinking of loyalty programs this way. They may be part of multiple programs. And this is what Forrester means. Loyalty program adoption is increasing while loyalty may be decreasing because customers are looking at what other options they have because the macro is pushing them into this direction, especially in the past 9 months, it's even
Yeah,
more uncertainty.
totally. And with so many loyalty programs launching and pretty much every brand now having, that's table stakes, right? You have a loyalty program. What are the biggest elements that cut through?
I think loyalty program adoption is far from maturity. So it's great that you see that way, that there is this another company who launched a program, but there is still so many who doesn't have a loyalty program, or there are a couple who has, but they are replatforming and relaunching loyalty programs. What makes the real difference is, I think, it's the values that it communicates beyond the simple earn number mechanics. So beyond the simple points and tiers and rewarding purchases, there is all the rest that would help you cut through the noise. So just like how Bergzeit is connecting their loyalty program with Garmin, or how Rip Curl is rewarding if you live the surfer life, or
Mm,
how Yield Valley is helping you to pull together with your classmates or with friends and donate together to charity. This is
mhm,
like a club's functionality, or even family accounts, shared accounts. These functions can really differentiate between loyalty programs if it's really tailored to the customer, or just like how it is done. In the case of Flying Tiger, that is one of the loyalty programs that Antavo powers in multiple countries. It's like such a nice success. I always really like to talk about them because they
sure.
started with a very easy concept. And they implemented it in like 6 months, in 6 weeks, in 6 countries, and now 60% of their business comes from loyalty program members. And one of the great
Mm,
differentiators of that program is that it it fits perfectly into the buying experience, even even with the fact that most stores have this assisted POS, like this not completely unattended retail, but when there is this person who's taking care of like 4 or 5 self checkout. So the loyalty program needs to be seamlessly integrated into the POS. And it is. And because it is so seamless and so easy, it's just very and like a no-brainer for customers to use it. That seamlessness makes it different from others.
absolutely. So, but then when you're talking about seamlessness and native integration and immersion in the entire, I mean, obviously you see the benefits, but if you are to put something in front of the CEO saying they should have more focus on this at the C-suite, loyalty should be a bigger priority, loyalty should be the main investment, even though that is a big investment of time and effort. What are the biggest data points you are using to convince that CEO?
I would have 2 points, no, maybe three. First of all, 43% of customers this year are more likely to join a loyalty program than last year. There is this raising popularity. That's number one. Number two is that loyal customers spend 4 to 7x times more. Like all kinds of research says different things, but there is this underlying common thread that loyal customers simply spend more. And number three is that your customer data is the basis of the whole AI transformation of your company. And there is no better source of consented customer data than a loyalty
Mm,
program,
yeah,
because it gives you all the tracked purchases and it gives you qualitative information about your customer, because your customer is incentivized to share it, like in exchange to like this reward or those points. Tell me about your preferences. Your customers will, and then this opens up a whole new world of rich data for you. That is the doorstep to very professional AI usage.
very cool. And, obviously one of the big benefits, as you just said, of loyalty is the data collection. But post GDPR, post cookie apocalypse, with regulators getting more aggressive, are retailers sleepwalking into a problem here? What are you expecting in terms of regulation?
I'm expecting only good things, because yes,
Mm,
cookies are regulated and they needed to be because it was all very blurry before. But in terms of loyalty programs, the decision and the data is in the hands of the customers. They're
mm,
the ones who are just very easily giving consent to this other party, the brand. It's not going through a whole bunch of browsers and advertisers and all kinds of things. It's like just one single agreement between the two parties, myself as a customer and the brand.
Yeah, awesome. Very direct. So a business strategy. So what are the biggest things you need to accomplish before your Series B, and what are you nervous about investors asking you?
Mm, in the world of technology and software as a service, everyone is curious about AI and product adoption. And this is what we're also focusing on. So we recently launched the Optimizer, which is basically an AI data analyst for your team that you always wanted to have, but never had the budget for.
Nice.
And we are working on expanding the usage of that optimizer among our customers. And it's going well so far, and people see the value. And I'm really glad how now everyone is really trained on prompting their favorite LLM, being Claude or ChatGPT, because this is the exact same way how we should prompt our optimizer. You just ask, like, tell me about reward redemption in the past couple of months, and then what should I conclude of that? And then it will think a bit and give you back your own data. So I think in our world, turning software as a service into AI software as a service and doing it well, this will be crucial. And this is what all of our colleagues are working on.
Usage. Very nice. And then North America now contributes 20% of your business value, and you've just opened up a team there. But the US loyalty market is enormous and competitive and has well-capitalized incumbents. How is a London and Budapest headquartered business going to genuinely win there?
It's a good question. And then I'm happy to report it's not 20% anymore, but 25%.
Very nice.
It's really nice that we are able to win great deals that are in North America. And our customers are really helpful with that, like having Skims there, Calvin Klein there. These are all both great names that help us unlock new business. Now we have a whole team in North America, and then we've worked a lot on our support. So now our support hours are 24/7 following the sun. There is this follow the sun support model that we are doing. And then it's always a constant work to really be helpful where need to be helpful. And I think we are going into a good direction in that respect. I was in New York at NRF, the National Retail Federation's big show, back in January, and it was great to see our partners and working towards our joint North America success. Our best partners, really the marketing automation and customer experience technologies out there, and it was great to see them and then plot and plan and talk about the future.
And is there any loyalty program you've encountered as a customer outside of the ones you've implemented that you've thought, that's great, I really admire that?
Oh, there are so many. And I always just point out what they should do differently in my head. And then I'm researching the decision makers and I'm sending these notes to them, like, you should have a family account or you should be faster. And there are 3 programs that I can mention, and I'm really a big fan of loyalty programs. So if you will see my phone, it's like full of apps and mobile passes. The first one is Ritual. So Ritual has a global program, and they are generous. They are so generous that they are too generous. And I think they could be better off with being a bit more conscious and a bit more segmented about their generosity. Not everyone needs the same level of generosity, right? But as a consumer, of course, you love that generosity. Second one is Tala. So Tala is the fashion brand of Grace Beverly, and it's this everyday wear and sportswear, and they have Tala insiders that they use very strategically. All the new releases come first to the club members. So I think it's a great concept, but it is slow. When I tried to sign up, I was even warned by the shop assistant that if you have 10 minutes to wait till the confirmation comes, then yeah, I will be happy to put it on your loyalty account. But it is so slow. I needed to go. So I have now an unregistered purchase, unfortunately. And number 3 is Aesop. So Aesop has their beautiful stores. It's like when the retail is really in the details, beautiful, right? The Aesop.
Yep.
And there is a lot of potential in their CRM program because right now they have a great CRM program, but they don't have a loyalty program yet. So there is so much room to grow because their enrollment rate is amazing, especially with the experience that they provide. The last time I was in Aesop, I would have said yes to everything, basically. I was sedated after the hand washing, after the scents. So they have this really nice openness from customers when they are in the store, and they could do a lot more with their structures and loyalty program.
Yes, this was less of a loyalty program and more of a pitch to Tala and Ritual and Aesop to work with Antavo. Last couple of questions, Zsuzsa. What's your most controversial prediction for the future of retail?
My most controversial prediction for the future of retail is that I think every retailer should have a loyalty program, like every single one of them. It shouldn't be the very same because no two retailers are the same, but they should find their own version of a good working loyalty program. I have two reasons for that. First is that 65.9% of people say that loyalty programs are part of their life right now. And the other is what I think I mentioned this number before, that 43% of consumers are more likely to join a loyalty program this year than last year. We just launched recently with Paul Smith, British luxury menswear. You are a very ideal customer to Paul Smith. And if Paul Smith is able to pull up like this great loyalty program, that anyone can, because a loyalty program is oftentimes associated with like bargains, discounts, cheap. But Paul Smith is everything that is not that. And they were able to pull it off, and it became a beautiful loyalty program with stamp collections, playfulness, Paul as the center of it, and this really nice discovering game-like elements. Like you need to find that QR code in the wall full of dominoes, and if you find it, you unlock a deal. In their Carnaby Street store, there is a skull. This like a skull, a human, like a it's not a literal human skull, but something similar, and that it's covered with these silver glitters. And there are stamps on that because it's an artifact of the loyalty program. And if you scan the QR code next to it, you are unlocking something special. So how beautiful that is. If they are able to do it, you are able to create your version of perfection for your loyalty program too.
What? Can't wait for Poundland to rub its couple of P of margin together and make one itself.
Poundland, they did it 18 months ago.
Okay. That is
and unfortunately,
very
even their loyalty program couldn't save the company itself, right? That's another story. But it was Emma Collins who launched that loyalty program, and they've done an amazing job with it. They've done all the right things, including letting all staff members very much educated about the program. They had these little bracelets with an NFC tag. And then you as a customer, you could just like, oh, I'm interested in the loyalty program. And the shop assistant would say, yeah, just like tap my bracelet and then here's how you sign up. So they used all the right tools, but their business was impacted by bigger forces, unfortunately. But after their recent takeover of, I don't know which that other company who bought them, maybe it will bring it back into the right track.
Really cool. And what's your craziest story from working in retail thus far?
My craziest story is related to some of our best stories, I think, because after all, it's all about the people. My craziest story is that Flying Tiger, our beloved customer, they were able to implement a whole loyalty program in 6 weeks. It's a very fast implementation. And then it just proves that when design is right, because it's simple enough for an MVP, when technology is right, because they've done all these kinds of modernization in their own technology stack in the previous like 6 to 8 months. And then when there is intention, because there is a great collaboration between strategists, the brands, the implementators, us, Antavo, the technology provider, then things can go like beautiful. And that is now a very beloved and award-winning loyalty program, and we are very proud of that. It's a crazy in a way that it's crazy great.
And how was that 6 weeks in terms of intensity for you?
It was very intense, but our colleagues didn't complain because they just loved that there is this intention and momentum. And then it was just like done. They were very happy for the quick launch.
Sounds great. Zsuzsa Kecsmar, thank you so much for coming on the Retailers Detail podcast.
Thank you for having me.
That's it for this week's episode of Retailers Detail. This episode was brought to you by Loxa, the Clara for insurance, protecting every retail customer everywhere. We help retailers offer product protection seamlessly on all major platforms, online and in store, on all insurable categories. Visit loxacover.com to find out more. You can catch previous episodes on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, or on retailersdetailpodcast.com. You can also follow us on LinkedIn, TikTok, and Instagram to get insights from the latest podcasts every day. I've been your host, Jamie Hamer. Thank you for listening, and see you again next week.